In this next lesson, we're going to take a look at how to print the checks from our payment batch that we generated from the payment proposal. So we're going to come under our APAR accounting menu. Then under payments, we're going to come to this option for payment receipt entry. We're going to go ahead and scroll down to this Pay AT option for the automatic check issue. Okay. Within here, this is going to take us to our payment records that have been generated. Okay, so here's the payment identification number. We have a status over here of entered, meaning that it hasn't been posted yet. There's your financial site. Here's your AP account that's going to be debited on the transaction, your supplier's account number, the date of the payment, the bank account that's going to be credited. Here's your total amount of the check. Your check number is going to be assigned automatically by the system when you go to do your check print. Then finally down through here are all the invoices and credit memos that you're going to be paying out on. Okay. So to go ahead and print out the batch of checks, we're going to come over and click on the printer icon, then go to Record. In here, we're going to choose this option here, the NA checks, the North American checks report. Now you also notice in here that there's an overflow check stub. So in the event that you do your check runs, and I believe it's if you have an excess of 10 invoices that are being paid out upon, you're going to need to subsequently do a run through of your overflows. Okay, so we'll go ahead and in this case do the NA checks. Then in here, again, for your report parameters, you have your company, the financial site, the bank account. Here's all payments that were generated on the 28th. Now in this case, my payment number range, your first value and last value are just going to be set to that individual payment record that you had pulled up. Now, in this case, I just had one payment in my batch, but if I had multiple payments in my batch, what I'd want to do on this line number 5 is to go ahead and remove that parameter right there. So now with these settings here, it's simply going to seek to print out all payments that were generated on the 28th, not doing any filtering by an individual payment ID. Okay. Down here, your next check number is going to be check number 177. And here's an indicator here that this payment record hasn't been printed yet. Okay, so we're going to come over and click on the print button. And when we do that print, that's going to open up this check form here. So there's a couple different options you can have by way of your setup if you want to buy your checks from Sage Checks and Forms. This setting that we have in the system right here, we have remittance details at the top. We have the body of the check here in the middle. Then we have another remittance section down here at the bottom that you could tear off to keep for your internal files. Okay, so from here, we can just basically do a printout and send, have a standard LaserJet printer, load our check stock in there, and print out the details from there. Okay. So that is the respective check print. I can go ahead and close that report here. Then back here you can see that now I have a check number that's been assigned. From here, a useful report, let's take a moment to take a look at some reports and inquiries. If I come back under my printer icon, then come here to list. Under my list report here, let me come to this payment listing. Okay, then here in the date range, or in the company range here, I'm going to have my company setting. I'm going to say show me all payments that I executed today through my automatic check issue here. That should be fine. I'm going to come over and do a print. And that'll pop up our payment listing report here. So again, within here we have, this will be a register of all the payments. You have the date, you have the supplier account number, the payment ID. Here's the total amount of the check. Here's the name of the company, the check number, a register of all the invoices and credit memos on the check. I can toggle down through. I have summary pages here showing me that I have a cash outlay of $225,000 on the batch. And the last page will show me the total number of checks that make up the batch. Okay, so this is a popular report that many folks will run. In addition to that, let's take a look at a couple inquiries. So if I go ahead and do a close page out of here, under my APAR accounting menu, I'm going to come down to inquiries. Then I can come to this option here for payments. Here on my payments inquiry, I can come in and specify my company, specify the date range over which I want to see the activity. If I have a particular payment number or a particular invoice that I want to inquire upon, I can specify that herein. And that in part will load my grid here in this section. So I can see all my payment records here, the amount of the payment. Okay, in this column right here, this shows me the respective invoices that were paid. Okay, the invoice date, the due date. Here's the respective check number. Speaking of the check number, if I come over here to the criteria button, this is some additional filters that I can run on this payment inquiry. So I have one of my filters down here I can set for my check number. So if I want to, inquire on a particular check number, I can inquire on that through that field right there. Okay. You'll notice through here on my action buttons, I can tunnel directly to the payment record, or I could tunnel over to the respective invoice inquiry function. Okay, let me go ahead and close page out of here, and let's go directly into invoice inquiry. So again, right within the same block, I'm going to come to invoices. Okay, so here in the invoice inquiry, I can go ahead and specify my supplier's account number. I can go ahead and specify my company, date range, then come here and do a search. And again, if I had a particular invoice that I want to inquire upon, I can set that filter there. Then this will give me a register of those items. So in here, some information that's useful to me, I can see the total amount that was due on a particular invoice, then the respective paid amount here. So this is telling me that this invoice has been paid in full. Okay. Then once again, through my action buttons here, I can go ahead, tunnel to the respective invoice. I can tunnel over to the respective payment inquiry screen for this item, or I could tunnel to the journal entry associated with the invoice record. Okay, so that is how you do a check run from X3, as well as some useful reports and inquiries that you can run for your payments. So in our next lesson here, we're going to take a look at the bank posting routine, which will be the final step in our process.